Okay, so a very warm welcome to the Divine Business Circle and to today's Divine Business Journey with my lovely friend Suzi Gibson. Welcome, Suzi.
Thank you.
Just got allowing someone into the group. So here we are. A warm welcome to Divine Business Journeys. This is a guest interview series on a journey to meet creatives, healers, spiritual business owners, and we will be learning from our guests' experience, hear their tips, their gifts, challenges, breakthroughs on their divine business journeys. And in this episode, we are joined by the Chief Meditation Officer and founder of A Wee Retreat, Suzi Gibson. And so Suzi, so your beginnings were as a software engineer, I believe, and had quite a different existence to the one that you now have. And we first met in Peebles, and it was when you're still running the New Moon Sister Circles, but at the time you were running the Sister Circles at Space 108, and that was a lovely center where I was also sharing the live divine business circles when I was running those before the lockdown. And I saw a few of my clients from that lovely space as well. And since then you have your studio is now called A Wee Retreat, and it's got a beautiful shop attached to it, and you host other guest therapists who practice from your center, and you run retreats in different parts of Scotland. So I'm really excited to explore some of your own journey and your experience getting from where you were then to where you are now, and really looking forward to hearing what wisdom you have to share with some of our whoever will be tuning into this session, whether live or on the replay afterwards. I think we had someone who just came in and then popped out again, so I do hope she comes, and or whoever else is meant to be here. So really nice to have you here, Suzi. And so I shared a little tidbit of a little nutshell of your journey so far. I know there's a lot more to it. Is there anything you'd like to add to that in your own words in terms of your journey from your beginnings to where you are now?
Yeah, I think the thing is that my journey has been sort of led by my own personal experience. So way back when I was still working as a software engineer, I had my first child, and I was then diagnosed with postnatal depression. And so that was really the catalyst for me. It was very much my own healing journey that then inspired me to ultimately sort of leave, software engineering behind, although I still like to dabble, and take a different path in life. So most of the things that I share in my work are things that I have found helpful, and very much my own experience of life has sort of guided me, I guess. Yes. And it's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, and a lovely excuse to catch up with you, because I do miss your monthly circles. They are really and I guess on the theme of balancing work and life and family. I know for me, when I first moved to Peeblesshire, it wasn't Peebles initially, it was out at Glenlude, which is about a 20-minute drive from Peebles, out in the countryside. And I had moved from Edinburgh, which is a big bustling city in Scotland, and moved to the countryside where I wasn't even in a village, so I felt very remote, and I didn't really know anyone in the area. And your circles yeah, it was a really important point of connection for me at the time, and still is, but particularly then. I was living in a household of my husband and my elderly father-in-law, and my husband's got 3 brothers, so there was quite a lot of masculine energy in my home. And so just having this monthly check-in with the local sisters felt like a real lifeline to me, and a nurturing space and a feminine space to just release some tears. I mean, you'll know me from your circles. I can't seem to attend one without bursting into tears, and so it feels like such a safe space, and I know it is for so many.
Yeah, and I think in life we all need a safe place to land, really, don't we? You know, and it's so nice to hear your experience of the sister circle, because I feel like that too. And even though I facilitate them, it's a safe space for me to be as well, and release some emotion if that's what's going on. And equally, we get to share each other's joys as well. And just a safe sort of holding space as we navigate the sort of inevitable ups and downs of life. And it's something, I mean, that circle's been running now for 5 or 6 years, which I can't believe. And, some of the same people who were there in the beginning are still there. And so it's lovely, because even though we only gather once a month, there's a sense of being in that supportive group at all times, knowing that you could reach out to somebody if you needed a little bit of extra support, or be in the little Facebook group, or whatever. So
well, I certainly really appreciate it, and I know all the sisters who come, and actually I've made so many friends through that. It's such a unique place, I think, to feel vulnerable and to share in that open-hearted way, and to be heard and to hear others without interruption, which is quite a rare. I mean, even with our own closest friends and family, it's sometimes just to kind of have that real focused attention on each person in turn is a rare thing.
And it might be the only time in that month that somebody feels that they've really been able to speak and be heard. So it's an important part of the circle, I think, just getting a chance to speak. For sure.
And certainly in the 5 or plus years that you've run them, it's been a really important part of my work-life balance. And I know for you, in a way, you're holding the space, and I know you do get a lot out of it. But what I'd love to ask you is, other than the sister circles, what are your go-tos for you to feel held? What are your kind of resources for kind of allowing yourself to be held in the way that you hold space for so many people?
Well, that's interesting, because that's something that I have to work at, actually, because I'm naturally comfortable in a giving role, and receiving comes less naturally to me. So I'm aware that it's something that's important. So I actually have to make sure I do it, and schedule it in. And so I make appointments really in my diary with myself now to make sure I actually have some time out. Next week I've got a whole day devoted to going to have some lovely treatments along at House of Gaia with Paula and Ian. So I need to schedule receiving in, really. And even then, it's still not something that I'm super good at. So I have to work at it and be aware where I'm at. I sort of reluctantly use the term balance, because I think to find balance, that sometimes that sort of, it's always in front of us. We're never quite getting there. So balance for me is more maybe a point that we move through. And it's often when we know that we're out of balance that, we bring ourselves back. So I think just regularly checking in, noticing how my body's feeling, how is my nervous system, you know, am I tired, what is it I need, having a sort of time to self-reflect really on a regular basis helps me. And then when I know what I need, I'm more able to go out and find that.
Yeah.
We're also very lucky to have a gorgeous spa locally, Stopo Castle. And that is one of the places that I find I really relax. You know, I find relaxing at home more challenging because there's always something going on and other people there and things to do. But I find if I can take myself out of my everyday world, be it work or home, and either into, you know, going for a treatment or going to a spa or going off on retreat, that works best for me. You know, I almost need to remove myself from the distractions or the tendency to say, oh, I'll just do another half hour of work, or I'll just do this, you know, I'll just empty the dishwasher, because there's a never ending list really of things that could be done. So I tend to remove myself from places that I do. Yeah,
that's really important. And when we first connected, you were running Studio 108 and you had your own coaching practice, and you ran meditation and yoga classes from that center. And since then, in the past couple of years, you've now also got a shop as well. So I suppose when I started thinking about this theme of how do we balance, or maybe that's not necessarily, as you say, it's not necessarily a kind of a goal to be achieved, but something that we kind of wobble through at times, and sometimes we kind of have moments where there's that sense of equilibrium, and you know, times and it falls away, you know, ebbs and flows as life does. But now that you have this I suppose extra part of your business, I wonder, you know, how, I know it's been a good, is it 1 or 2, maybe 1.5 years that you've now had a shop, so it's fairly new, this new
fairly
part.
new.
And how have you, I can only imagine just sort of bringing this new part of your business in has taken some adjustment to I can just, you know, project myself in this situation. If I was setting up a shop, it would be a lot of energy to start off with, and then you know, finding again this kind of sense of equilibrium once you kind of got through that big birthing process, I suppose, of creating that. So how's your experience been as you've moved through this past couple of years, really?
Well, I guess the first thing to say is that it wasn't a plan really of mine to have a shop. So I was in Space 108, which was a lovely little studio. I didn't really have any plans to be anywhere other than that. You know, it met all my needs in terms of business. But when the restrictions came in for holding yoga classes and things, and we had to have, you know, 2 meters between each mat, it was a small space. And other yoga teachers used the space as well. So it became unworkable really from that point of view. So business-wise, it was no longer sort of meeting those needs. So I decided that I would let go of that space, which I was very attached to. So there was a little bit of pain in that process. And then there was a short period of time where I was just sort of in limbo, you know, not necessarily planning to take on another commitment. But then my husband and I were out for a walk one day, and we saw this little to let sign in another premises in Peebles. We came to see it, and, you know, almost before I knew it, I had taken on another space. Really for the studio, which is where I'm sitting now. So it's a much bigger space than before. So we can get more yoga mats in. It's where I hold my circles and things. We've got a lovely treatment room downstairs as well. And then there was this other space. And it's not the first time I've been in retail. I used to have a space in Edinburgh many, many years ago in Haymarket. So it wasn't new to me. And I get really excited about buying things and sharing them with other people. So it just sort of grew arms and legs. And before I knew it, I do sometimes have that sense that I'm not really in charge or making the decisions, that somehow it's just unfolding in front of me. So yes, we have a shop now, and that's open 3 days a week only. So the studio was open 7 days for treatments and classes and seeing clients. And there's another couple of therapists who work from here too. But at the moment, the shop, it's an experiment, really. It's open 3 days a week, and I'm not attached to the shop. It's doing well, but we'll see. It means that there's a place I need to be. So in some ways it conflicts with that sort of value of freedom that I hold very dear, because it is a tie, if you like. But somebody recently said to me, a sort of business coach, just reminded me that it is my business and I get to make up the rules. And I'd kind of forgotten that, so that was quite liberating. So it's like, I don't have to open 5, 6, 7 days a week. I can do things on my terms. And that's really important for me, being a sort of self-employed business owner. And something I remind myself of regularly is, if it's not working, change it, try something else, so not being afraid to give it a go, change my mind, change direction. So for the moment, the shop brings me a lot of joy. We've got some lovely things in there, all around the theme of health and well-being and yoga, and that sort of thing. So, I'm just buying things I like, really, and hoping that other people like them. That's about the strength of it. There's not an awful lot of strategy at the moment there.
It truly does sound divinely guided. I mean, even the fact that you were just going for a walk, and then you just happened to the shop just happened to fall into your custody, almost like it was meant to be. And I think I love hearing magical stories like that. And I do think, when I connect with people who are on what I consider divine business journeys, there always is this kind of sense of the unexpected, and this kind of sense of being guided by some unknown benevolent force or source, or something like this. So it's really lovely to hear, how that all unfolded, because I didn't realize that wasn't a kind of a big plan. And I think just having that kind of open-hearted approach to going this way or that in life, can allow that space for that sort of magic to unravel.
Absolutely. And it's still, whether somebody's coming into the shop or coming to a class or going to see a therapist, as soon as you step in the door, well, it smells divine because of all the sort of candles and nice smelly things that we've got. But there's just that sense of, shoulders drop, it's a safe place to land, a wee bit like the circle, it's that a similar sort of energy. And that's really my hope, is that people will sort of walk in the door and just take a couple of deeper breaths, relax, and hopefully find something that's helping them on their journey as well,
Lovely. And you definitely came to mind as well, in terms of the perfect guest to invite on to talk about family and work and that balance. And that can look so different to different people, of course, depending on what stage in life you're at, and what your own personal family looks like, whether your family is far flung or whether they're local, but regardless, there always seems to be this sometimes push and sometimes pull between our, not necessarily work, but our kind of our passion and our calling in life, and that balancing that with the loved ones, and our family members, wherever they may be, and whatever stage in life there may be. And I know that I mean, I suppose because we've been in circles together over the years, and I've seen, also your shifts and changes and some challenges perhaps with how you balance family and business life. And I wonder now that there's also I was going to say the added pressure, but I love that you choose to work 3 days a week in your shop, and that there isn't this kind of, I must open 7 days a week or 5 or whatever it is. 3 just sounds like a really lovely, lovely way to maintain your value of freedom within that. But how does your connection with family kind of tie in with all of that? How did that look for you?
Well, that's changed a lot over the years because, I've got, I live at home with my husband and 2 children, but they're now 15 and 19. So my daughter's just come home after her first year of uni, and she's back for a little while. So it's very different now because their needs are different. But if I go way back to, some of the points when I was trying to establish my business and they were a lot younger and my husband was traveling a lot, those were very challenging times. And there was a couple of occasions where I thought, I can't do it. It's actually not possible for me, but I couldn't leave it alone. It just, there's just something in me called to do the sort of work I'm doing. So it's definitely been challenging for me at times. So balancing, being a parent and business. However, I do feel that I'm in an easier phase of that at the moment, purely because of their age. My kids can cook themselves dinner if I'm not home, and that kind of thing. But they still require, something of me, and I still want to be with them and enjoy that sort of family environment. So for example, I'm finishing a course at the moment, which has been quite demanding on my time. And so I've had to make some changes in my business and take a step back from running as many classes as I did, because otherwise I just wouldn't be home. And as well as valuing, freedom and my business and getting to do this work, I love to be at home in the evening, having dinner with my family and then sitting, doing something with them, So it's a constant sort of readjustment, really. It's like, well, where are we? Is this working? No. Okay, I'm going to have to cut these classes for a while because I just can't actually do everything. It's not possible. Or if I do try and do it, I'm going to burn out. So again, it's back to that sort of just, reevaluating and being willing to make changes, and sometimes, family members will come in here and give me a hand, which is great. My daughter's great at organising me and helping out with stock in the shop and things like that, or my son will come in and help me clean the studio as well. So it's not as if I sort of disappear to a place that they're not part of. I talk about my business and everything with them. They're always giving me tips as to how to better use Instagram, and that kind of thing. So in a way, it feels like they're on this journey with me as well. That's and also lovely. Sort of rooting for, the success of the business as well. And luckily, my husband's super supportive as well, and has been all through my meanderings through my divine business journey. He's been a real constant, and also somebody I can go to for advice, or I've just created this poster. What do you think? It's okay? What's this video like? So it's not a separate entity, really. It's part of all of our lives as well, you know. Even if that's just somebody who needs to nip in and use the loo as they're walking past. Do you know what I mean? It's just hopefully a place that they feel that they can also step into, you know, at any time. Yeah, but I definitely wouldn't minimize balancing family life and business. I think it is quite a juggle and not something that I have got right all the time. And also, something that when I look back, maybe 10 years or so in business, when my children were younger, you know, I did burn out a bit. I was trying to do too much. And that was a massive lesson for me, really, in, I guess, monitoring my own energy levels and health, and not being willing to put my health on the line, really, for the sake of my business, you know.
And I think also as a kind of healer or a healing professional, it's so important in many ways to have gone through all of that ourselves. And you know, we can empathize so much more with our own clients and you know, the people who are attracted to working with us when I mean, who doesn't? And we all have our challenges to work through and to kind of find our own way. And once you find it, then some new challenge will pop up.
Absolutely.
Yes. You use the term arms and legs. It's kind of that's kind of metaphor that's coming to mind. Just you kind of feel like you've kind of got a nice equilibrium, and then something comes along, which kind of gets you kind of to somehow regather yourself and find your center within all of that.
Sometimes it causes you to change direction, or sometimes you are, you know, you have to stop and reevaluate something. I mean, I think my sort of personal meditation practice and, you know, doing yoga and that sort of thing, those are the things that kind of fill my cup, so that when challenges do come along, I'm better resourced, if you like, to deal with it, you know.
We've got a couple of our Divine Business Circle members here in the circle. One who's just joined, so I don't want to put anyone on the spot. But yeah, just wanted to put to some of the other folk who are here with us live, and also whoever may be tuning into the replay. If you have your own maybe methods or ways of sort of coming back into equilibrium in your business or in your life, you know, it could come from either way, because I think sometimes family life takes over and all our attention has to go to that, and our business can suffer, and other times, you know, our business kind of takes that out and our family becomes neglected. So, you know, I'm curious to hear, because I know, you know, we all have wisdom to share. If anyone here, and don't feel any pressure to, you know, if you've got any maybe methods or techniques that you're using at this time to bring yourself into equilibrium in your life, or if there's any other, if there's challenges that you feel that you're going through at the moment, I'd love to sort of bring in whoever is showing up here and kind of get our kind of collective energy and wisdom on the subject. If you wish to share just whatever comes to mind, feel free to pop that in the chat. And meantime, in terms of balancing, I love that you pointed out, Suzi, that it's not necessarily like finding the balance, like that's a goal that we reach, and you know, it's a kind of more dynamic process. You know, I wonder if there's a better or a more accurate way of describing that. I like the word equilibrium because it feels like there's some movement in it, but balance feels like this kind of very sort of static kind of position to maintain.
And almost it always feels to me like it's somewhere to get to. once I'm in balance, or once everything's, you know, perfect. And I mean, life isn't, well, I guess in some ways you might say it is perfect, but, you know, things are always moving and changing all the time. And so, yeah, it's just about responding, I guess, to what's being presented, and not forgetting about yourself, you know, and knowing that it's okay to say no if that feels too much, or, you know, it's just one commitment too many, or you just don't fancy doing that. You know?
And I would maybe also add that when it feels out of balance, that is okay, and that is part of the process, and to embrace yourself within it, and allow yourself to kind of, you know, take that time to step back out of the business. And you know, I know certainly, and we were discussing this a little bit before we came on, it took me about 6 months, probably longer than that actually, because I'm out here in Malaysia just now, and it was Indonesia initially. And I thought initially I was going for 3 months, and it's now turned into a year, and it's probably likely to turn into a year and a half at this point, and maybe more. And yeah, I think a big part of me at the beginning, there was this sort of real push and pull between feeling I've left my life behind, and that I've lost myself in this kind of caring for my elderly parents when my dad had a stroke, and supporting my mum with care with that. And I suppose I liken it in a way, I haven't had my own children, but I'm kind of sort of imagining that the experience that young mothers maybe have at the beginning of, you know, when their kids are still tiny, and your children do require a lot more energy, and in the same way I've kind of landed in this situation of supporting my parents, and far away from my normal experience, and that I was sort of pouring all my energy, and I didn't feel like I had anything left for my client, and I wasn't promoting myself, and I wasn't really much on social media at all. And I suppose it's about a year later now, I'm finally sending out newsletters, and I've developed some resilience within the situation I find myself in. So yeah,
and even as you're describing that, it sort of sounds seasonal, you know, like you've maybe been in the winter, and that's a time just to stop and not do so much. And I think that in business, if we can, I mean, I know it's not always necessary, it's not always possible depending on the business you have, but if we have the ability just to step back sometimes, you know, take a bit of time. Well, I
know that the two beautiful souls who have joined us are both have herbal backgrounds and work with the seasons in their own way. So, you know, I think that would speak to all of us really who are here live on this call, and I expect many of us who will be tuning in after. We've got a little comment here from Ingrid, and she says, hello everyone, and for her, gratitude practice, taking a moment to breathe, to come into the present, and then taking a moment to be grateful. And other things are yoga, being out in nature, and work with plants. Absolutely. I think all of us can have probably experienced that. I find gratitude practice is probably my main anchor at the moment. It's something that I kind of go in and out of doing things regularly, but my daily practice at the moment is waking up every morning and thinking of 3 things that I'm grateful for before I get out of bed. And that just sort of seems to shift my entire day. Ingrid's added, and making nice nourishing foods, drinks help me as well. Mindfully eating is so grounding too. Totally agree. Absolutely. How about you, Suzi? What sort of drinks? And we've also got Fee saying, getting okay with saying no, cancelling engagements and commitments. I think we find that really hard sometimes. I've definitely been, I kind of sometimes have this push and pull with that. and sort of, I don't like letting people down. And so there's been many times that I've just gone ahead with things when I feel like I mean, one example is on the day my dog actually died, and I was running a workshop. I didn't cancel it. I just went ahead and did it because it was actually for someone else, and I didn't have everyone's contact numbers. And yeah, part of me was, there was this almost pride in pushing through and doing it even in those most extremes of circumstances. But yeah, it's also a reminder that it is, of course it's okay, you know, in those situations. But yeah, I really struggle with that. Thank you for mentioning that to me. At this point, I would really love to invite you, Suzi, to, you mentioned that you would like to offer a little practice for us, just to kind of really ground it into some of the things that Ingrid mentioned also earlier, and for us all just to experience this, you know, as a in the circle that we have formed spontaneously at this point. So I'll just pass over to you, Suzi, for a little while, and if you'd like to guide us in a wee practice, that would be lovely.
So this is just going to be, you know, a short meditation really, and just noticing what's present with you. And so, I just invite you to be as comfortable as you can be, wherever you're sitting or lying. And if you're comfortable closing the eyes, allowing them to softly close, or keeping the gaze soft and without focus. And let's just start by taking a few nice deep breaths. So breathing in deeply through the nose, feeling the abdomen rise, and sigh that breath out through the mouth. And another couple of these nice deep breaths, just in your own time. And then just allowing your breath to find its own natural rhythm. And I wonder if you can just cast your mind back a few moments ago when you actually arrived in the room that you're in right now. But this time in your imagination, imagining that as you get to the door of the room or the space that you're in, that there is a large basket. And metaphorically, I'd just like to invite you just to put anything down into that basket that you'd like to put down for the next little while. Anything that if you were able just to put it down for a while, you would really feel that you could find some rest, some relaxation. So that might just be a to-do list going into the basket, or ideas of future moments, or perhaps any worries, difficulties, concerns that you might have at the moment. Anything that would get in the way of you resting and relaxing. And then finding yourself in this space and just acknowledging that for the next few minutes, nobody requires anything from you. There's nowhere you need to be, and there's nothing that needs to be done. Just noticing how that feels. No responsibilities for the next few minutes. And let's take a few minutes just to check in and notice what's present with you, where you're at. And we're going to start with the physical body. So just gently bringing your attention to the felt sensation of your physical body, sitting in the chair, on the sofa, wherever you are. Noticing the points of contact that your body has with whatever you're sitting on. Perhaps you can feel your feet on the floor. And really noticing that support beneath you. Noticing that you are supported. And with a sense of kindness and curiosity, just noticing how your body is. How's it feeling? And just doing the best you can to be as okay as you can be with whatever is present for you. And getting a sense now that we're starting to draw back our energy from the places that we've been, the conversations we've been having. We're starting to take our attention away from the outside world, the world of movement and people and places and things. And we're starting to look inside. So taking a moment just to notice how you're feeling on the inside. Sometimes our emotional state is described as having its own weather system. So just noticing what's the weather like inside. The other thing that you might be able to notice as you rest here is your mind. It's highly likely that you're experiencing thoughts. From time to time, you might drift off into thinking about something. So we're just noticing our ability to observe the mind. Perhaps noticing the butterfly-like nature of the mind. How it moves in one direction and then the next. Stopping for a while on one topic before changing course and going off somewhere else. So again, with kindness and curiosity, and without trying to change the mind, we're just noticing and doing the best we can to be okay with whatever is present. And also noticing that as you rest here, that the breath is continuing to sweep in and sweep out of your body. Now, your breath is something that you may have noticed a million times before. But in this moment, just bringing that sense of curiosity as you notice the sensations of breathing. Noticing how it feels to breathe, the movement of the breath. If your breathing is feeling a little shallow at all, you might feel moved to deepen the breath a little. You might notice that as we take this time out today, it's maybe becoming naturally deeper and slower. And then gently guiding your attention to your heart center. And just noticing what's present in your heart today. What qualities are present. Whether it's joy or sorrow or something in between. Doing the best you can to be okay with whatever is present in your heart. And you might even feel like just gently placing a hand on your heart center. Considering that hand with a sense of reassurance, a sense of self-care. Just noticing your ability to care for yourself, to soothe yourself, to offer yourself what you need. And then quietly asking your heart if it has a message for you today. And this message may come in words, pictures. Maybe it's a body sensation or a sound. Just taking a moment just to listen to what your heart has to say. And we have noticed all of these things, not because we're trying to change them, but just to give us a sense of where we are, what's present with us. And you may find that just in the simple noticing, things have already started to change. So bringing your awareness back to the body, contact with the chair, the floor, taking a nice deep breath, becoming aware of the room that you're in, and whenever you're ready, very gently, just blinking the eyes open, coming back into this space.
Thank you, Suzi. That is so lovely. Really transports me to your sister circles. And it brings little tears to my eyes. Yeah, I love the way you guide meditation, Suzi. Just you've got so much love and compassion and gentleness in your words and the way you express yourself. And
Oh, thank you.
So lovely. Thank you.
Just lovely to share a moment with you all. I've got little tears too.
Oh, yeah. They're so cleansing tears, aren't they?
Yes, yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Often, I mean, I'm a very watery Pisces, so it doesn't take much for me for tears to come. But yeah, I always observe that oftentimes people struggle to allow themselves to cry, and there's something very vulnerable about being seen to cry, but it's so healthy. I think I mean, it's our body's natural way of releasing stress and tension and clearing out channels.
Absolutely. I'm a crier too, so it doesn't take much.
It's underrated. You hear this kind of phrase, "Stop crying." It's, this like, don't cry, and people I think are trying to soothe and maybe don't want people to feel upset, but I was trying to give people permission to cry when
absolutely
when there's the opportunity to do so.
But it's interesting even to sit with our own discomfort at seeing somebody else upset. I think it's also a sort of cultural thing, certainly I think in the UK I think hopefully it's getting better.
I hope so.
But,
yes. Ingrid says, "I love a good cry, let it out." And Fee says, "Me too." Yeah,
maybe it's a new thing, a crying circle.
A crying circle, yeah, absolutely. I'm all for it. Yes. So we've got the last few minutes of our time together. I know that you have an offering a bit later in the year that I would love for you to share with those of us here in the circle and those of us who will be listening to the replay. There's a retreat that you're running.
Yes, so that's in September, from the 8th till the 12th. So it's a 4-night retreat. You arrive on the Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, right through till sort of Monday just after lunch. And it's set in beautiful Perthshire. It's a big Victorian villa that's right on the banks of the River Tay. And Perthshire in September is, it's a wonderful place any time of year, but September, and as the leaves start to change, is particularly beautiful. And so it's called the Well Rested Woman Retreat, and it's all about really encouraging rest and relaxation and taking sort of time out. So nourishing food, very gentle movement practices, time out in nature. We have a massage therapist there offering massage as well. And we'll be exploring in group sessions this idea of rest, something that sometimes we find very difficult to gift ourselves. So we'll be looking at the sort of rest mindset and the beliefs that we maybe have around rest and giving to the self. And we'll be learning different sort of tools and techniques. There'll be some meditation. We'll be doing some vagal toning exercises, helping to move, the body more into the sort of parasympathetic nervous system and that resting state. And also just plenty time out to do nothing. Beautiful bedrooms. Most of them look out onto the river. A wonderful chef and great retreat team as well, all there. Really just to look after you. It's an opportunity to receive, to be nourished, nurtured. And by the end of it, getting ready just to step back into life, feeling rested and reset, with more clarity, hopefully.
Lovely. And I know that all of us here who are here live in the circle, we're all carers and healers and helpers, and we provide spaces like this for others. And I just feel it's just always so worth remembering that we ourselves need to receive that in equal measure, if not more. And in fact, definitely more. If we're holding that space for other people, we need to be deeply, deeply rested ourselves and create that space. And it's a challenge. Is there anyone here who doesn't find that a challenge? I haven't met anyone who doesn't. So we can all support each other in that. Definitely. And thank you for providing that space for those of us who need that and who are able to come to that retreat at that time. And I just want to thank you so much, Suzi, for coming on and for guiding us in that practice and sharing your journey with us. And thank you to Fee and Ingrid who have joined us here live, and also to everyone who is tuning into the replay. And so, Suzi, where can people find you online? Can you share your website?
My website's weretreat.scot. And I'm on Facebook, A Wee Retreat, or Instagram, A Wee Retreat, in all of the places. So do pop along and see what we're offering. Also, we're here in person in the Scottish borders town of Peebles. So yes, it would be lovely to welcome you here in some way.
Oh, gorgeous. All right. Well, thank you so much. And,
thank you.
Yes, you're getting thank yous from Ingrid and Fee in the chat. And yes, no doubt there may be other comments for anyone who's tuning in on the YouTube page when that'll be shared later, and possibly in some Facebook comments. So yes, so thank you everyone for joining us on today's Divine Business Journey with Suzi Gibson, and look forward to the next time we get to connect. Sending lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.